Hey guys, my name is Seniac and today we're going to ask the question, can you make a profit by exporting power in City Skylines 2? Well, that's what we're going to find out. If you are enjoying these experimental videos and want to see more of them, the last one we did was a poop dam. I highly recommend checking that out. Then smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new around here so you get notified when more City Skylines experiments do come out. Now, in this game, it gives you the ability to export power. Now, it's good for one of many reasons. One, if you build a city and you hook up your power network to an external source, for example, these pylons here, you can export the excess, which means if you are losing a little bit of money and you've got some excess power, you can export it, get some cash, and it might then start making your city money, or just really give you a nice little kind of boost of additional income. Now, that's perfect. We've never been able to do that before in the first City Skylines. We can do it in this one, but it asks the question, is it possible to export all of the power and make money? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Can we actually create a power industry? Now, if you are enjoying these, smash the like button, subscribe if you are new, but there's a few things we've got to run through before we get going. I've got unlimited money currently selected, and the whole reason for that is so I can afford everything and build a vast power network. But how do we know if we're actually making a profit? Well, if we go to our city economy, as long as the green bar is going to be higher than the red bar and our monthly balance is plus, then we know we're making cash. So no money's been spent right now, nothing's really happening, and I've picked this map because I think over on this side there is a lot of wind availability. So if I kind of go to our power right now, wind is going to be our friend at the moment for our first part of the experiment. So let's buy a bunch of tiles, and I'll buy all the way to over here. There we go, selected, nice. So we're going to start with a wind turbine or a wind farm to begin with. Now, when it comes to power, everything here produces obviously megawatts. Now, a wind turbine costs $15,000 a month to upkeep. Now, this is really important for us because the upkeep is the only thing that we're going to have to spend in this kind of experiment. So we want to make sure that we are selling more than what we're spending. So that's going to be quite difficult. Now, a wind turbine is 15,000 big ones and produces, if you put it in the right position, 5 megawatts. So when you kind of work that out, it's basically $3,000 per megawatt a wind turbine produces. Now, if you can combine that to a small coal plant at 70,000 big ones, that works out to be 3,500 per megawatt, which is more than the wind turbine. Now, what also is an additional cost to say something that produces power like one of these buildings is you also have to add a water network and a sewage network to be able to have these buildings run. And then you've also got to import coal. So it becomes quite expensive. Now, 20 megawatts, that is based on the coal power plant firing on all cylinders. So it can be quite difficult. Now, it does get a little bit cheaper the further you go ahead. Gas power plant here, I believe that's about 2,200-ish. And as you get really cheap, and I think if you go to nuclear, it costs about 1,300 per megawatt. Now, that is considerably a lot cheaper than wind, but it comes with a lot higher other costs like sewage and water, which is stuff that we don't want to buy. And with all those added in, it then kind of makes wind power still look the cheaper option. So, to be able to export wind, I can't just place down a bunch of wind turbines and then hook it up and it works. You actually got to put them through a transformer station, which is also then an additional cost. A cost which the buildings don't have because they have a transformer built within inside of them. But again, you still need all the other stuff as well. Now, a transformer can only have a capacity of 80 megawatts. So I need to only hook up 80 megawatts worth of wind turbines to one transformer to export it. Are you following me on this one? I know, it's complicated, right? It's complicated. So let's find a location to where it does start producing 5 megawatts, which here is perfect. So if we need to get 80 megawatts, we need to do 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, and finally 80. So each one of those right now are going to produce 5 megawatts, which adds up to 80 megawatts, which is what a transformer can pretty much hold. So if I hook up with these little power cables right now, and we do it all underground because it makes life a lot easier for us. Now, these electric cables right now, they do not cost us anything. Apart from initially buying them, they don't cost us in any type of maintenance whatsoever. So I can have these and make these as long as I want, and it doesn't affect us in any way, shape or form with our expenses. The only expenses that we'll have right now is the upkeep and maintenance of these wind turbines. So get all these all hooked up. How many more is there? There's 2 more. Bam, 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 bam. And they're now all hooked up, so I can drag that line and pretty much take it wherever I want. And then we should hopefully then start exporting. Right, so in terms of power, we're now producing 80 megawatts, as we can now see. And in terms of expenses, we're now spending 112,000 big ones. Well, the way you can look at it, we're also getting government subsidies, but the total upkeep of these wind turbines is 240,000 big ones. It's a lot of money, isn't it? Now, government subsidies, the government automatically grants the city subsidies depending in its economical situation. A small city in an overall weak financial situation with a poor tax revenue and low service fees receives a fair amount of subsidies, while a larger city in a good financial situation with high revenue stream receives only I can't even say the word. I can't even say it. Negligible. I can't even say it, boys. But it's just so difficult. To no subsidies. So basically nothing. Now, if I decrease my service fee to 0, do we then get more government subsidies? Now let's fast forward, because it does say there, we can all see that, right? A small city in an overall weak financial situation with poor tax revenue and low service fees. Now, we all see the low service fees bit, right? Does that mean we get more government subsidies? No. What if I make all my taxes super low? Will it change the subsidies to maybe increase them? Because this could play a big part in us making money, okay? It could play a big part in us actually turning some type of a revenue. But I don't think that's going to be the case, is it? I honestly don't think I think that's the best we're pretty much going to get. So that's fine. We're making money without even making money right now, but even though we're still losing money, but we've got to export all of this power. Right, so when it comes to exporting then, we currently have the export situation over here. Now, we're not paying for this road at the moment, and is there any road that's particularly free? No. So we're going to utilize this road as well, and what we'll do is we'll place down a transformer station here, okay, and then what we'll do is we'll use these power lines for underground, and we'll bring this to our first one over there, and then that should, in theory, run the power through once I've got this connected to the main source. So doing it all underground as well, it's all fine by me. So that there should mean that we've now got all this power coming in, which that wire's almost overloaded, so it's a good job we're not getting any more on this. And now it's shooting all the power out. So we're not only producing 80 megawatts, but we're now exporting 80 megawatts. And this building here is at 100% efficiency, 100% capacity in that kind of regards. And it costs us $6,000 a month to export as well. So with just those right now, 80 megawatts, is it enough for us to turn a profit? No. No is the answer. It's not technically yet enough for us to turn a profit. Now, some stuff has kind of slightly changed. The government subsidies has changed quite dramatically, and our service trade has now gone up as well because we're now making money. We're exporting 200,000 worth of it. Now, if I change our service fee, now this makes no difference to us. It makes no difference to us because we don't really have anyone living here, so we can't really do anything about that. But it doesn't change the base value. So after all of that, we're losing 15,000. Now, I could increase the budget. Now, by increasing the budget means we produce more electricity. you do get a little bit more government subsidies, but we can't export more than what we're currently exporting. Does that make sense, right? So although we are now, where's my little power overview? Power. We now can produce 100 megawatts as opposed to the 80 that we could do before. It doesn't really outweigh the negatives of the additional government subsidies, but I could export those extra 20, but again, it won't make much of a difference. Because if 200,000 was 80, it works out to be 50,000 per 20. So it will only add an extra 50,000 onto this, which is not enough to cover that. So that's actually quite difficult. Now, if I put my budget all the way down, it does mean that I produce a lot less power. But I'm now actually turning a profit on our monthly balance. But, this is the big but. It does mean I'm producing a lot less electricity. Only 20 megawatts. So by that logic, it's 50,000 on exports, which reduces quite dramatically quite far down. Now, with the budget low, is it possible to add a few more wind turbines? So I'm going to keep the budget low, and we're going to run right now another 80, well, at full capacity, 80's worth of wind turbines. Just to see if I then overload it with more, does it make much of a difference? Because from looking at this right now, it doesn't seem like you could do it. But this is only one side of the experiment. This is just wind. The other stuff is building related, which will require water and sewage. So that's another balancing act that you've got to do. Now, with that pipe looking semi-overloaded when we had all of that stuff in, let me just hook it up to that one and then see what the difference is now. So now we just got to wait for the service trade to increase, but it's only going to increase by 50,000. It's all dependent on what the government subsidies are going to do for us. So we just got to wait right now. There we go. It's increasing. Now, the more we make, the less subsidies that we get. That's what I've kind of noticed. So it's not really going to work out, is it? I think after all of this, there is a 15,000 deficit in general. Okay. So let me delete this because I can't run this down to another transformer. So let me get a second transformer in and hook you up to there, which is fine. And I'm going to run the power line. I'm hoping that this, I mean, I could hook it to that, but that wire is going to get overloaded. Is that enough to run it into here? Are these now, are they sharing? They do technically share. Oh no, it's all going to the one. Right, let me reset everything right now. Is this all reset? There we go. How does the power situation look now? Okay, they're both going evenly, and they're both producing 80, which means we should be producing. Oh, we should be producing one. How are we only producing 159? Because this one is not, and this one. These two here are not producing the 5 megawatts. Now, it might not seem like a lot, but that is quite bad for us because I need every penny counts at this point. Right, why did that happen like that then? Oh, it is in a slightly lower area. Right, okay, so I'm just going to add to the end of it. Right, there we go. There we go. So now we should be producing 160. Yes. So we're still producing the maximum we can right there. And this is the difference now. This is the difference. It's our service trade should be, there we go, at 400,000, which is then a 38,000 negative. It's not good, is it? It's not good. It's quite difficult to turn a profit. Now, that's not to say that you can't do it. I'm sure there's ways you can do it. I'm sure if you implemented residents living here and charge a high service fee, things can work out. But I don't think to be honest with you, I don't think it's even going to be possible. No. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, immaterial goods. There's nothing here that kind of does anything. We are exporting. Apparently, we have a deficit of convenience food. Is that because these have employees? I don't quite know why we've got a deficit of convenience food, but hey ho, there we go. So, not a fat lot we can do about that, is there? Now, the other alternative is, right, buildings. Buildings. Now, let's start with a solar plant. Now, a solar plant, if all goes to plan, could produce up to 200 megawatts, okay? So if I drop you in, now the only downside is these buildings require services, okay? And that's just not, it makes it a lot less viable to then make a profit because there's other additional costs. So we need to add in some sewage and we need to add in some water. So by the looks of it, we need something for sewage that produces 36,000 in total, which this, no, where is it, the sewage outlet? Which this does 100,000, so that is more than enough for the sewage outlet. For this, I'll just run it into the road, it's easier. So that is the sewage then taken care of. Then we need water. So I'll go for a basic water pump over here, which also needs to be connected to the road. So if I come off there, which the road's got to be connected over here, just so it all spreads and connects. Is that enough? Oh wait, hold on. That's that's a sewage outlet. I need a water pumping station, which is now really annoying because I've now placed this where there's sewage. Right, there we go. It's fine. So this now can produce its power. But the problem with this is it's really, really heavily reliant on the weather. And we're only producing 13.8 megawatts. Which is not good, is it? It's not good. I mean, I'm exporting. Advanced tracker, increased storage capabilities, high voltage, allows for a new power line to be built from the plant, increasing effectiveness. It's all additional money for upkeep, which in reality makes me lose even more cash. Now that's just solar, okay? That's just a building that's reliant on something that's not importing anything. Now, what if we go to the next stage? I could go nuclear. I could go all out and see if nuclear could do what I need it to do. Now, how big is a nuclear building? Oh my goodness me, this is absolutely huge. So nuclear then. Now, this is asking for a lot of pain. Nuclear is producing so much right now to the point where, you know, well, we're actually not going to make any money because sole reason for that is it's not, the production's going down and down and down because we need more water and sewage outlet stuff. So we need to have enough, we need 750,000 a month in terms of consumption. Okay, this might be for now a better idea to have an outside of the region connection. Let me just import and export some sewage and water first. Holy moly, that's ridiculous, isn't it? That is ridiculous. Right, that's enough now for that to start producing what it needs to produce. But it's only really producing 750 megawatts. The amount of electricity in this building supplies to the power grid is dependent on the building's efficiency. Now, it could be because we need a lot of employees. Okay, right. Or is it down to the fact that we also need to make sure that it can export as much? No, because that switches over. So without doing anything else, and I don't think nuclear is the option. Well, we do get a lot of government subsidies. We're spending a lot. Like a lot. Now, what if we reduce... Look at that. Oh my goodness me. What if we reduce the budget? How does that then change things? So my monthly balance is now gone a little bit lower. Do my government subsidies rise or increase or decrease? They increase. But obviously so does my service trade. Because we're not obviously exporting enough. So let me reset this. Let me just now get rid of all of this. Because even without having the full city and all that shebang, you know, it is what it is. Let me get rid of the excess that I no longer need. Let me get rid of all this additional pipe work. Making sure it's all following me. There we go. So I don't want to spend any extra money if I have to. I don't want to spend any extra money if I have to. So I think with the additional cost of running sewage and water and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I could have got my own plants and stuff like that to kind of run all this, but it still wouldn't have turned a profit. I don't think it's actually physically possible. So there's one last thing I kind of want to do, but let me just see where we now bottom out at. So service upkeep, services, yeah, it's all down to electricity. We're losing 38,000. Now I'm going to build a small little, I don't know if to build a small little community and then charge them a high service fee for using electricity. Right, this will be an experiment again. So a nice little grid. I said a nice little grid, please, and it refuses to build a grid. So if I do something like this, that's nothing out of the ordinary, is it? It's nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever. And we've got a lot of high density, so I don't know whether to kind of throw in some high density. Let me see how much that demand gets spent by. I can do some mixed density, which will also span some of our industrial. Not industrial, commercial and medium. And we've got a load of low density as well. And I put some additional commercial there. And I'll throw down some offices. Something a little bit different, right? For our industrial buildings. Might as well just throw in some here as well. Right, there we go. All the demands then spent. But they require said services yet again. Why do those cranes feel like really narrow sticks? It's weird, isn't it? It is weird. Now, as the money does change, we will start to get some service fee money in, and then we will start to get some tax money in. So let's hook this up then. So I should have kept in originally what we had. So sewage to there. I might just go for a water tower just to kind of make it easier. I know it's a lot more expensive. So that's got some very, very basic stuff that it would need to function. And then we're going to wait for people to move in. And we're going to see if we can kind of turn this around. So electricity, we're going to have a high service fee. And then see how this changes it. So our taxation right now, we're going to reset our taxation back to 0. What was it? It was on 10%, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, that's a thing as well. I can put it to 0 and then not lose any money. But it's the same as almost making it minus. So the budget right now, we'll see what the budget then does. Again, it's not going to be enough to do anything about it. It really is not. So I think even with a little bit of a community, I don't think it's possible to make money exporting power. That is the conclusion that I'm slowly coming to. It is the conclusion I'm slowly coming to. So, in reality, for every 80 megawatts, you're losing about 16 odd thousand. You could maybe argue and round it up to every 100 megawatts, you're losing about 18 to 19,000 if you're using wind. But it's truly interesting. It's an interesting one. But don't make this put you off anything. Don't let it put you off. Right? Even if I built loads more wind turbines, it just means the money I lose just gets bigger and bigger. Because it's also money I'm making without doing anything. So I can continue to build this city, and once my tax money starts covering the deficit, you got to remember, I'm only currently consuming, right, 1 megawatt. I'm exporting a lot, and I will eventually reap the benefits if I can get my tax money to cover. Because you got to look at other alternatives as well. If you get your tax money and your service fee to kind of cover, you know, the majority of the expenses when it comes to maintaining our electricity grid, then you could argue you're starting to see a benefit with the exportation. But other than that, it's not possible. I don't think it's possible. And for that reason, I'm out. So there we go. We've tried to export power right now to try and turn a profit. My opinion, no, it's not. But the fact that we can export power and it will pay the extra we got can pay us some money back in return. Otherwise, we would have not got that money. Is still amazing. It's still absolutely amazing. And you know, it's pretty damn good. Service, I like the fact we can get service fees, but I feel like we should be able to increase those even higher. You can even get like a service fee for this as well. But yeah, I don't think it's possible. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this experiment, smash that like button down below. But until next time, I will see you all soon. So, good, bye.